Okay, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to Coffee, Tea, You and Me. This is a show I've been doing now, oh my God, almost 20 years. And I've been helping entrepreneurs, business leaders of all types just really figure out how to get their act together, how to do the right things, how to say the right things, how to be the right kind of people. We got a great show for you today. Got some wonderful guest presenters that are going to come along with me that I'm happy and thrilled to introduce to you. We're going to introduce them in a few minutes, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what to expect from today's show. In fact, this next series of information that we're going to be delivering, it really comes from a program I created many years ago called TrueVOICE. TrueVOICE is an acronym. VOICE is an acronym, stands for your vision, your obstacles, your instinct, your commitment, and your environment. Understanding how to use the knowledge and the articulation of that knowledge around those 5 key areas are the things that you need to do to bring out the integrity that you have, to make sure that your character gets to show up in the places where it needs to show up so you can win the trust that you have to win. This is what it's all about. It's all about trust. How do you get the right people to trust you immediately? So we start off with the TrueVOICE process, which I created many years ago, because I was finding that entrepreneurs were meeting each other, business people were meeting each other, professionals were meeting each other in these networking organizations, and they weren't necessarily making the right connections fast enough to take advantage of collaborative opportunities, to work together, to share opportunities and work. No time like Black Business Month is there for us to talk about these very same ideas. And in fact, Marvette is back in the back room right now. Her and I were talking about some of these things earlier. It's so important that we know how to find each other, what to say to each other when we do find each other, so we can grab that spark that will create the leverage that we need to create to help each other move forward. Again, the TrueVOICE process is all about identifying the things and the ideas and the concepts that are within all of us, that have the greatest amount of integrity, the greatest amount of passion, the greatest amount of influence that we need to share with the world. But if we share it in the wrong way with the wrong people, we find ourselves in trouble. And so we have to figure out how to make sure that we're shining our light in the right spots, with the right people at the right time. And TrueVOICE is a process, a questionnaire that I'm going to post in here that's going to help you guys. We're going to go through it over the next couple of weeks, but today we're just going to give you the introduction to what TrueVOICE is all about, how TrueVOICE is working, and there's just so many reasons why it's important for us to have these types of discussions now versus later. We'll get a little bit more into that into the show. I've just found out this morning that August is Black Business Month. Now, I never knew we even had a Black Business Month until today, to be quite honest. And for a person who studies and works with small women-owned and minority-owned businesses all over the country and all over the world, I'm a little bit of ashamed to admit it, but I got to be honest. And that I hadn't heard of Black Business Month until I read my LinkedIn profile this morning, and I read the news, and people are like, oh, it's August is Black Business Month. So I'm thinking, okay, what can we do to celebrate this wonderful occasion? And so I had to find out a little bit what was Black Business Month and how does it work and who sponsored it. I got a little bit into the history, so I got a couple of I got Googleified about it, right? So I found myself looking at information and really just going into a deep dive this morning about what this was, and it's so exciting to me because I find myself associated with business more and more, and I love business. I love entrepreneurship. I love everything about it, and I love working with people who are entrepreneurs, who think new ideas, and they bring new products and services to the market. I love supporting them. I'm an advocate for them, have been for all of my life. And my fraternity happens to have a program called the Bigger and Better Business Program. Yes, I'm a Phi Beta Sigma man. And the Bigger and Better Business Program is a program that we have, and it was what kind of attracted me to the fraternity many, many years ago. I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but it attracted me to the fraternity because I thought, man, they're doing something about economic development within the community. They're trying to help as many as possible, they possibly can, to grow their businesses. And I was just excited about it. As an economics major at Kent State University, I was super excited about it. And so I latched on board, and I've been, working with those ideas and concepts for more than 20 years. I'm going to just leave it just right there. Okay, so today's show is about the process, the program, the TrueVOICE opportunity that we have to truly, truly share where we are the highest in what I like to call integrity. Now, let's talk a little bit about what integrity is before we get into this. Dr. Stephen Covey shared with me many, many years ago that integrity, at least by his definition at the time, was about self-trust. It's about knowing that if you make a commitment to yourself, you're going to keep it. It's about knowing that whoever you are on the inside, whether however you consider your spirit, your mental health, your physical health, your wellness, all of that is aligned in a place of integrity, purpose, and passion in such a way that if you express who you are and what you're doing and how you're thinking, people automatically can see directly to that point of orientation, that point of view that lets them know that not only do you have integrity, meaning you won't let yourself down, you won't do the wrong things to yourself, you won't do the wrong things about yourself or with yourself, but you are trustworthy, which means they can share what integrity they have with you. They can share whatever connections they have with you. They can share whatever resources they have with you, knowing that you won't take advantage, knowing that you're going to do the right thing. This is integrity. And I want to start you guys off today with I got some exercises that we're going to run through together, some ideas and some concepts we're going to run through together, and some great discussions we're going to have. I hope you're excited, because I am. This is going to be a wonderful show. Marvette, Delta Sigma Theta in the house. I see you, girl. I love it. I love it. I love that Sigma in the middle, by the way. That's all. My wife's one of them Deltas, and yeah, I tell you what, they are taking over the world, and they should be. It's their rightful place. So anyway, let me just make sure I do this before we go. We're gonna take a quick little commercial break. I love this little video my buddy did for me. Check it out, and then we'll come right back and we'll get the program started. Okay, this is Coffee Tea, you and me. Ladies and gentlemen, I've got a wonderful special studio guest. And for those of you all who don't know her, I think I put her LinkedIn profile is automatically right here. So you can go check her out. She is an amazing realtor, but more than that, she's a community educator. She is an avid believer in entrepreneurship and all things entrepreneurship. And I'm so glad that she has had an opportunity to come and share. I'm going to let her introduce herself, tell you guys a little bit about what she's up to, what's going on, and then we're going to get right into our program. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm bringing to the stage to you right now, Miss Marvette Cofield. Welcome to the show, Marvette. You got to pick yourself off mute, baby.
There we go. All right, awesome. Hi, I appreciate being on the show today. I've watched it a couple of times, and it's been always great information. Just a little bit about me. I am an associate broker in Virginia, Maryland, and DC. And I've been doing real estate probably now since 2003. And one of the things that's been really important to me is that I take the knowledge that I have and I share it within our community. It's crucial that we begin to learn how to build wealth, not only for ourselves, but for generations to come. And so with that being said, I expand out into other areas as well. I am a member of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women as well. And one of the things that I do with them, I'm the Economic Empowerment Co-Chair and chair for that particular organization. And this year we won grants from Truist and Wells Fargo, and we've been putting on financial workshops for individuals that may not have access to that information. We've been bringing in experts to talk about it, to give people strategies on how they can begin to save, budget, buy homes, invest, wills, trust, all of the information that as someone that is economically empowered, giving you the information that you need so that you can make the right decisions for you and your family. And so that is kind of the focus on all the things that I do. I really focus on women in this particular area, because what I want to see is us continue to grow and not only save for us, but for our kids, and begin to teach our kids those things that we may not have learned when we were growing up, but give them the opportunity to start further ahead than we did at that same age. So this is just a little bit about me. Economic empowerment, financial wealth, financial literacy, that's key for our community to continue to grow.
Outstanding, outstanding. So tell me, Marvette,
yes,
what makes you so excited about real estate investing and helping others learn how to do it?
I think it's seeing the light bulb go off, right? Seeing that gleam, the hope and the possibility that comes when they realize that I can do this. That keeps me going every day. And for every person that I'm able to influence, provide information and strategies to, that's one more person that has a network of individuals that they can pass that information on to. And so that's what really keeps me excited about it, and watching their growth. It encourages me to even expand myself so that I have more knowledge to give. And I think if we all took that on to say, hey, we're going to make a difference in one person's life, that you really don't understand that impact of that one person on someone else. So.
Oh my God. That is so special. I just posted some information in the chat, and do me a favor when you get a chance, whoever's in the listening audience, I want you to take a look. There's 4 quotes that I've shared with you. One's from J.K. Rowling, one's from Lao Tse-Ting. I thought I had organized these so they wouldn't show up like they show up in the chat, but unfortunately, they don't know. You have to look for number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. And what I want you in the audience to do today is I want you to take a look at these quotes, and I want you to just read them to yourself, and I want you to pick your favorite and post it in the chat. Which one's your favorite? Which one is really saying something to you? Because it's very important, and you'll see why when I'm finished today. And go ahead and just share whatever number it is, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and I may ask you why. So be prepared to discuss why you selected the ones that you selected. Just as a point of engagement, I think it's very, very important for us to talk about, when we talk about integrity, it's a very difficult discussion to have. It's very difficult for us to say that we have XYZ amount of integrity, even if we have just the most intense character when it comes to the most competent personality when it comes to certain things. It's hard for us to say for ourselves, this is where I am the greatest. In fact, I haven't even heard anybody do it since Muhammad Ali. It's like, I am the greatest. Very few of us will stand in that gap, even though we are. And we all have a level of expertise. We all have a God-given talent. We all have gifts that have been given to us. But how do we express those in a way that we can make sure that the right people know what we can bring to the table, what we can do? Because when the right people know, they're literally encouraged, because of what they know, to go ahead and do something about it, to go ahead and make something happen. I see my friends from Peaceful Relaxation are out there. It's good to see you. I'd love to know how you found the show. what you're doing, and if you want to share any contact information. As we're going through the exercise today, we're reading some of the quotes that I put in the chat and choosing our favorite. So if you post in the chat again, how you found us and maybe any contact information that you want to share. If you're an entrepreneur, you have a link or website that you want us to share, we'd be more than happy to do so. Looking forward to having you. And our person from Peaceful Relaxation, A to Z, says, integrity is something that many say they have, but they rarely share. That's true. That's very, very true. That's very, very true. How can we make sure that we share our level of integrity correctly? How do we do it so that we don't sound like we're bragging about ourselves or going too much into who we are and where we are? And I've got some ideas I want to share with you, but I'm wondering where you guys are about this, what you're thinking, what the listening audience is thinking. Now I'm gonna pick on Marvette. Do you have a favorite, Marvette? You on mute again, Marvette.
I can't see the quotes, so I was trying to go on to YouTube so that I would be able to see the quotes as well.
I'm sorry. Did you see the comments? I sent it to you. Actually, I put them in the private chat. You can see that, right? You know what? I didn't hit the send button.
Okay. I was like, it's blank. I'm blind.
Sometimes I got it together, Marvette, and then the other times, you know what? It's just not where I need it to be. Sometimes, and they're not even all there. I see them now. So you basically have two to choose from, maybe three.
Yeah. So is this the one with Harry? What is it? Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. When you are content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everyone will respect you. That one is really, really key for me. Growing up as a PK, you always concerned with how people think about you and how people see you. And so sometimes you end up becoming who you're not, trying to fit in with a group of people. And so it wasn't until I just got to the point where I'm going to be me. You're going to either accept me as I am, and if you don't, it's okay. I'm not for everybody, and that's okay too. But being yourself, it comes across from a confidence perspective. You're able to be the woman or man of your word because you don't have to put on a front or always show your representative, as most of us do, right? So that's why that stands out for me, because once I really became who I am, an introvert with extrovert tendencies that really has a purpose and a mission to make a difference in my community. Once I understood that, then there's really nothing that someone can say to me that's going to change the course that I'm on, because I know what I'm here to do. So you messed up now. You're talking to me because I'm going to ask you the crazy questions. Okay.
How did you know that you had come to that level of commitment to your own character, that you could stand true to who you are without worrying about what others think?
I think it was more in college, and then I had a second episode once I got older and got divorced. But when I was in college, before that time, being in a strict environment, don't get me wrong, my upbringing was wonderful. I love my parents. My dad was my hero. But one of the things, I had to figure out who I was when I went to school. And I said to myself, I'm gonna be who I want to be. These people don't know me, So I went in, I said what I wanted to say. I had my own thing about who I felt like I was, and that's who I portrayed. And so most people from college is really funny. They're like, you never had to worry about what Marvette thought, how she felt, because she would tell you. And I was nice about it. Don't get me wrong, but there was no filter. So as I matured, all right, I had to learn some decorum, and I had to learn how to filter, say what I need to say in a respectful manner, but also get my point across. And so once I ended up going through my divorce, which was devastating, but what I recognized was part of the reason that failed was because I wasn't totally who I was supposed to be in that relationship. I was too busy catering to my husband to make him feel great and kind of forgot about myself. And in doing that, the person that he fell in love with, I was really no longer that person, right?
Because if you ever were anyway, if you ever were in the beginning, right?
Correct, exactly. So, you know, and after that, it was just like, you know, it makes no sense to try to be what someone else needs you to be, because you can only do that for a period of time, because who you are will come out one way or the other. And so at that point, it was just like, you know what? I just need to be me. And I had to also understand that being yourself doesn't always mean that everybody is going to love who you are. And being okay with people not accepting who you are, your ideas, or anything like that, but still being able to love them in a manner that they can still go off and do what they need to do without losing that respect factor, right? Because a lot of times if you feel somebody don't like you, then you start talking about them and all that kind of silliness. It's not about that. It's just that at this point in time, this season in your life, maybe that person is not supposed to be there, but they could come along later, right? But for right now, it's not a good mix. So I don't want to hold myself back. Don't want to hold them back either, right? But there may come a time where it will come around and they'll understand, well, I understand who you are now. I understand who you are. And you can move forward and do some great things. So it's just really important to just really be who you are. From a business perspective, integrity, it's about consistency. If you're not who you are, you cannot be consistent. So you give people this picture of you up, down, toss and turn, you know, you don't have a standard. To me, integrity is all about your personal standard, because it's based on your principles, your passion, who you are, and what you're here for. So you put all that together and you consistently use your voice to uphold what it is you believe. That's how you show integrity. That's how you develop relationship. And that's how you can connect with others, and that trust begins to build because you built that relationship.
Oh my God. You said a mouthful. I could just have you just do the show today. Because it's real, because here's why I say this. There's such a great connection between you and I, but because the connection exists, not because you and I have something special or you and I have done something together or another. It is because it makes perfect sense. It's innate, you know. There's something about a level of integrity, I believe, and I know this, that we're all born with.
Yes.
And and that at that level, we kind of all share the same ideas about what's right and what's wrong.
Correct.
You know, we get to adulthood, and then we start to figure it out how we're going to enter the universe. And I love my sister's book, When and Where I Enter, because it really is talking to women, but it's talking to women about how they define themselves. Correct. And how they represent themselves, the true nature of themselves, right, in everything and all that they do. And I love that, because I think most people, you know, we kind of take it for granted that we know who we are.
Right.
But I think, you know, it's important to do the work.
Lots of work.
Right. And so in college, you know, just like you know, I had a level of ambiguity away from my family and friends and associates and so on and so forth. And I could try out and test out some different, you know, things and theories that, you know, I thought made up who I thought I wanted to be, how I want to represent myself. And so sometimes I got slapped, and people were like, you know, that's the wrong way to go. I don't mean literally slapped, but I mean figuratively slapped. Right. But people say, you know, well, the universe, that was the university, showed me that that's not necessarily the way you want to go. And then this is not necessarily the way you want to go. And as a result, you know, those barriers began to show up and help me kind of direct my path in a way that when I graduated, and I was blessed with it, having, you know, directors and friends and associates who were older than me and would say to me things like, don't leave here with a degree thinking that now you've arrived at something, that the world owes you something now. You will always be learning. You will always be growing. So know that. Here is where you got your starter kit, right? Here is where you start to learn how to learn. Right. More importantly, who you are before you learn anything else.
Right.
So now I'm going to share with you a little bit of the quotes that I chose and why I chose those quotes. And I'm sorry that you can't get to this information, Marvette. I will make sure that we work it out in another way some other time. But, you know, it's very, very important. J.K. Rowling says, remember, if the time should come when you have to make a choice between what is right and what is easy. Remember what happened to a boy who was good and kind and brave because he strayed across the path of Lord Voldemort. Basically, what she's saying is that understand that, you know, we're all going to come to crossroads in life. We're all going to come to places where we have to make tough choices, where we have to make decisions about what is fair and equitable and good, right? We have to do that. But we're doing that and we're juxtaposing those decisions, you know, to the things that might be simple or painless or easy for us to grab. And the easy path is not always the best path. It might be the best path temporarily, but long term, the path of what's fair and what's equitable and right and good is probably a better path to take. Now, that's obviously a more difficult path to take. And it's the people who get used to, as early as they can in their adult life, of taking the difficult path, making the difficult decisions, learning through experience and expressing the disastrous consequences that come from making the wrong decision. And then going, okay, it wasn't me. It's not something, a function of who I am. It's a matter of me not knowing how to make a better decision. So now I know, you know, how to make a better decision. And the sooner you begin to align yourself, like Marvette said, with those correct values and those principles, the better. Now, you don't just align yourself. You know, Marvette said, you know, she's a preacher's kid, right? That's what a PK is, right? That's a preacher's kid.
Yep.
And so all her life, she's been bombarded with ideas about what's right and what's wrong, right? She got to college. That's when she truly got to test those ideas and go, okay, I didn't necessarily agree with this one, but, you know, I agree with that one. And she probably found out that all those ideas were pretty good, you know, from the jump. Thank you for agreeing. Because I know it's, you know, we grow up with this sense in, you know, when you are driven by, your family is driven by some type of religious thought process or ideology or whatever that is, the process, you know, you're involved in that process. You can't get out of it, you know, so you have to deal with it, whatever it is. So whatever traditions you grew up in, those are the traditions that you grew up in. And they all have very, very similar, you know, rules and powers and principles and so on and so forth. And you're supposed to just believe them. And there's no way to test it until you get out. And you got to go, oh, let me test this. You know, us good Christian soldiers will tell you that, you know what, it's okay. You're supposed to test it because the testing is how you grow. The testing is how you become. I love Michelle Obama's book, Becoming. Yes. You know, because it kind of shows you her journey as she was making decisions. You know, what's right and what's wrong. What do I do? And then how does it play out? Well, it plays out that she gets to be the first lady of the United States of America. That's how all her decisions played out. You know, and then she gets to now be a continuing example, ongoing, continuing example for so many people of what the possibilities are within womanhood in general. You know, she's empowering women all over the world. What a great example, because she learned early to make the tough choices, to do the right thing more often than she made the choices to do the wrong thing. The second quote, this one is from Lao Tse Tung. I love this quote too. It talks about, literally, it says, when you are content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everyone will respect you. So let's talk about that. You know, we're in a Western society, most of us, Most people who listen to the show are from a Western society where we are taught to compare and compete. We're taught to measure ourselves against one another. We're taught to try to one up one another. And in doing so, we often do each other disservice. So, when I begin to think about this, when I put together the TrueVOICE process, one of the things I recognize is that to create true friendships and true collaborative partnerships, we have to stop that. You can't ask someone to be your friend. You can't ask someone to be your partner. You can't ask someone to collaborate with you when you're trying to best them, when you're trying to make yourself better than them, or you're trying to hold off something that you could share and give to them that they could benefit from. You do just the opposite. You do damage to the potential relationship. And it boils down to, I think what Marvette said earlier, if you don't know yourself, it's very difficult for you to even know how you're going to work with other people. It's very difficult for you to make even an offering that other people can recognize and go, oh, this is what you have. This is what you are. This is what you bring to the table. So you have to be happy with who you are and what you bring to the table. And many of us quite clearly aren't happy with who we are and what we bring to the table. And even as we get into, older adults, you start seeing people with gray hair. And I'm like wondering, how can you be depressed at this moment in your life? And I don't mean clinically depressed. I mean behaviorally depressed at this moment in your life. Is it trauma? I don't even understand what it is. I don't understand how you get to, to be in your 50s and you still worried about what other people say. You're still concerned about, how other people think of you, and you're not concerned about your contribution. Because at some point, I think in our human development, we all have to turn the corner to start to concern ourselves more with our contribution to the forward flow of human history, to the society at large, versus what we take away from it. How we show that, we're special and significant and relevant. You should know that without having to show that at some point in time. Now, I'm never going to be the person that will tell you to not show that you're special and you're talented and you're individually gifted, because I think not showing it is also a sin. So you got to be humble to an extent. But there's an old saying I love, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. There are people who are ready to learn what you have to offer. But if you don't offer it, they can't find you. And if they can't find you, they can't benefit from what you have to offer. And so the blessings you have to share don't get shared. And you think about that as entrepreneurs. I know a lot of people are like, well, my product or my service, that's what I have to offer. Is it all really? When you think about it, aren't there a whole lot of skills and talents that went into the development of your product or service? Those you can also offer. Who knows more about those developmental tools and strategies and techniques that you had to come to and to an understanding of to truly get to where you are right now? Somebody else may use them to do something completely different. But that doesn't mean your talents and gifts have to be, relegated to the box that someone else might put you in because you offer a product or service. I don't know about anybody out here in the listening audience, but I used to sell investment products and insurance products. Now, everybody can't do that. A lot of people can pass the test to get licensed to do it, but everybody can't do it, because what it requires to do it at a tremendously high level is not just to be smart. It's to be able to connect well with people, and it's to be able to tell really good stories. If you can't tell good stories, You're not going to drive those connections, and no one's going to buy or purchase an intangible product from somebody that they don't trust. So you have to be able to articulate where you have a high degree of integrity. You need the tools to be able to articulate that. And if you don't do that well, then you miss the opportunity to bless others with your gifts and talents. I hope that makes some sense to you guys. Because if people don't do that well, if they don't really express their talents and gifts, then those gifts are squandered. And it's very important that you, if you haven't already, do the work to identify where you're special. To do the work to identify who you're special with. Ask your friends and family and connections, people that you trust and people who value you, to tell you what they think your gifts and talents might be. Because left to your own devices, you're probably going to be wrong. Anybody knows anything about branding, somewhere in between what you think your brand is and what people really experience is actually where your brand is. And you really have to know what that is to help you identify others who might be attracted to it or might be interested in it. The next quote is from Albert Einstein. Einstein says, "Whoever is careless with the truth in small matters cannot be trusted with important matters. Whoever is careless with the truth in small matters cannot be trusted with important matters." So as you're out there doing whatever it is you're doing, I want you to think about who needs to know that you're good in what small things so that they can trust you with the greater things. There are people out there who have the resources that you need, and they have the connections that you need to do anything that you want to do, anything you feel like you were placed here to do. I'm a big believer in vision and destiny, right? So anything you think you were placed here to do, understand that there's somebody out there who holds some portion of the keys you need on your journey to wherever you're going. And you have to identify who they are. And sometimes in order to identify who they are, you have to call out in a way, to communicate in a way that they're going to hear you and go, ha, these are my people. This is my person. I'm supposed to deliver what I have to this person. And that's how you find each other. But if you hide your light under the bushel and nobody can see it, guess what? The people who need to see it can't find it. And you don't even know who to shine it on. So you got to do the work. First with yourself, but then you have to say, okay, who can I grow with? Who can I develop this opportunity with? Who can I collaborate with? Who can I speak to that's going to make this even better, even sweeter? Make me feel even better about doing whatever it is I'm doing. Now, I got to warn you, if you can't find anybody who is into whatever it is you bring to the table, you probably need to question, are you bringing anything useful or meaningful to the table? And then that goes back to your integrity. Are you a hypocrite? Are you keeping it real? Because if you're keeping it real, you should be able to find people who will go, yeah, I'm with you. I got your back. Here's the resources you need. Here's the funding you need. I happen to have control of these particular ideas and concepts. I'm going to share them with you. I hear the connections that you need because I trust that you're going to do the right thing because you have done the right thing. Performance creates trust. How you've performed in the past creates the trust that you need to have for tomorrow. And again, when I created TrueVOICE, one of the things I tried to help people bring out is, where have you performed well in the past that you know you could use as leverage to create more trust, more value? If you haven't done it or thought about it, you should. Marvette had something to add here. Go ahead, tell me what you're thinking, Marvette.
So as a connector, that's how my friends and my board of directors, myself, that's who they call me, connector. And I will say that one of the things I look at is I listen to everyone. I think everyone has something to add. You can learn from every person. But when I'm looking to connect people, I look at their history. I look at how they've treated other people. I look at business relationships that they had and how those worked, right? Or how they presented themselves when I gave them an opportunity and it went well, didn't go well. But you remember those things because it's really important as a connector. Those individuals, they trust you and they know your word is bond. So if you send someone their way and they bomb it, that's your reputation. So it's really important from when you talk about integrity that you really are who you say you are, and the principles that you live by, they are exuded through everything that you do. And if that's not happening, then yes, you have to do the work. And the work is counseling. The work is really looking at who you are and being real honest with yourself, and saying, you know what, this is what I think I am, but if I listen to all the people that's closest to me, my family members or whomever, they're telling me one thing, you need to consider it. You really do. And do the work to figure out, are they on point? Are they not on point? And get someone that's objective to help you figure that out. Not someone to tell you, but someone to give you the strategies to figure out who you are. Because if someone tells you who you are, you can't sustain that. If you go through the process and figure out who you are, that you can sustain because you have confidence in that about yourself. The biggest competitor for any person should be yourself, not someone else.
Amen.
Because most people have a high standard for themselves, not necessarily against someone else. If you're going to make somebody feel small, that's not really making you look big, right? If you are lifting someone up higher than they really need to be, that's not doing them a favor either. So at the end of the day, your biggest competition is yourself. So if you know who you are and you compete against yourself or that level that you want to be at, that makes you more successful. So that's just my little 2 cents.
I got to meet your father because I know he is like, he understands fruit, tree. I want to introduce you guys to each other because clearly, clearly, like I said earlier, those lessons that they beat you up with all your life, you still have them.
Because one of the things he did that I really appreciated. So my dad was one. Yes, he might give you the principle because the only thing that scripture is they're principles. They're principles that you can put in place for success. Mm-hmm. And for him, it was, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to help you figure out what to do. So like, for instance, if I went to him and asked him to do something, he literally would have me to make a list of pros and cons, right? Come back to him and tell him what my answer should be, right? Okay. And so most of the time when I did that, of course, I agreed with him. But there was one time that it was just something that I wanted to do. I did not care. And so I was 17 years old. And there was this party in Atlanta that I wanted to go to. And I lived in Augusta. So I had to go with some friends to go. And so he was like, I need you to make that list of pros and cons. What's good about this decision? What's bad about this decision? Look at your friends. Look at this, all of this stuff, right? And so, and he says, when I get home, we'll discuss it. Well, by the time he got home, it was time for me to leave and go with my friends. So I made my list of pros and cons, right? And I went on the trip and I told my mom, I said, I made the list of pros and cons, but I said, on this time, I'm going to do what I want to do. So when my dad got home, I wasn't home. And he was like, what in the world? Now, when he looked at my pros and cons, I had more cons than I had pros, but I went anyway. And I will tell you, I should not have gone. Okay. But that was me testing out that whole thing. I say that to say he taught me to think, right? He taught me to consider, this is the principle. Who are you in relation to this principle? Do you want to be this person or do you want to be that person? And based on my decision, that's what it was determined. So over time, these little gems of wisdom and watching him live out. It was nothing for me to come home and find some strange person in our house eating dinner. He helping them find a job. You know, he done led them to Christ, whatever it was, right? They would stay for a week. They would stay for a month. One person stayed for 3 years, right? But
goodness.
What I saw was he put into action those principles. He met that person where the need was. So he showed them that he cared about them.
Right.
Hence, when the time came for a few of them for some business ventures and stuff like that, that my dad was interested in, he could actually go to those individuals. You know why? Because his consistency, his level of integrity, they understood if he's coming to us, then there's something to this. So let's look at this and let's work it out. So for me, it was a combination of example, but also doing the work.
Oh my God, Marvette, I'm so glad you came on the show today. This has been an amazing talk so far. I posted the TrueVOICE questionnaire in the chat as well as the private chat for you, Marvette, so you can see it too. And if you look at that, and I'll open it up when you get a chance, but I want you to have the link to do with whatever you want to do with. It's a questionnaire, and it's set up to help you look at people that you think you want to win their trust. You think that you want to win their opportunity. Maybe you want to promote them to your advisory council. Maybe you want to increase the level of professional relationship you have with them. But if you look at that TrueVOICE interview questionnaire, you can begin to come up with the language that you need to come up with to get them to speak to you with all of the integrity that they have. Now, I suggest to you all to go ahead and use this as a tool. Interview yourself first. You know, go ahead and use it as a tool to do what Marvette's saying, to give your own stuff, your own 360, you know, and then share the ideas that you came up with by yourself with people that you know, like, and trust.
Right.
And get the conversation going between them about, you know, what they see in you that's special, what they see that what level of integrity that you think you really have about everything. And you'll find that the conversations you're going to have are conversations that you could not have had otherwise. Because when do you talk about these things? When do you talk to anybody, any one individual in one setting, about your vision, about the obstacles that are in front of you, about instinct and your intuition, what's that leading you, about the commitments that you know you have to make that maybe you haven't made already, about how the environment might affect what it is that you're doing, whether it's a social environment, the emotional environment, the physical environment, the spiritual environment, whatever environmental things might affect you. If you haven't articulated and shared all those things, if you don't know how to do it, then you're not going to find the support that you need to find. And you're not going to be able to give the support to others if you don't learn to listen for those things. Back to what, you know, Marvette said earlier, learning to listen really is about asking the right questions. TrueVOICE are the right questions for anybody who, if you really want to understand somebody, if you really want to get to know somebody, those are the questions that you need to ask them. That's the conversation you need to have. Now, I know some people are sitting there going, well, I don't know if I can ask people these questions. It seems like an interrogation. I understand that. It is not. You just tell them, listen, this is what I'm doing so I can get to know you better, so I can find out more about how I might be able to bring what I bring to the table to help you. And if you're interested in that, then it's going to take about 20 minutes. I'm going to ask questions. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to shut up and listen to what you have to say. I might write it down. Now, I've done thousands of these interviews, and I tell you, every time people tell me, oh my God, I've never shared that much information in such a small minute of time with anyone. And there's a magic that happens when you share that kind of information with somebody for the first time. You just fall in love with them because they're interested in you and they're giving you attention that you may have never gotten anywhere ever. And boy, does it feel good. It feels good. And there's nothing that, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing insensitive about it or insexual about it. You know, it's just that you need to understand that if we don't share the truth with each other about each other, then it's hard for us to build trust with each other. And this is a technique that I've discovered, and I know it works. So I've been doing it for more than 20 years now. True Voice is a technique that works. And so you have it. If you're in the listening audience and you want to participate, there it is. I got 2 more quotes I want to go through with you, and then I'm going to answer any questions that anybody may have. Talk to Marvette some more, and we're going to keep this party going. Okay. So the next quote, this one comes from Marcus Aurelius. I love this one. This one says, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. What he's suggesting is innately, and we said this earlier, you already know. You already know what's decent. You already know what's respectful. You already know what's trustworthy. You already know what's useful. These things are already embedded in each one of us. There's other quotes that, I get into in the training, that some of them come from the Bible that would suggest that all of us are born with the knowledge of the truth. It's just that we don't necessarily know how to use it, And so it's important that we don't waste time, with lessons about what is trustworthiness and lessons about what is fair and what is equitable. We kind of know that. Let's get to the business of doing it. Let's get to the business of doing the right thing the right way, because when we do that, our integrity shines through. Just like Marvette said earlier, if you do that well, if you express those thoughts and those ideas and what they mean to you well, the right people will hear it at the right time, and then they'll begin to be attracted to you, and you'll begin to be able to, for lack of better terms, minister to them. Because I do believe we're all on a mission, we're all on a journey, and our job is to gather others as we move along the way. And they might be with us for a season, a small period of time, but ultimately we're here to help each other grow. But we have to do that. We have to give each other the truth, the straight dope. This is where you're strong. This is where you're weak. This is where you have passion and power. This is where you're not so much and you need help. You have to be willing to fess up that information with as much authenticity and integrity as you possibly can. The last quote we're going to get to is from John Lennon. John Lennon says, "You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one." And what Lennon is indicating in this quote is the fact that we all have dreams. We all have fantasies and romantic ideas about what life can and should be. But somewhere along the way, we stop sharing them. Somewhere along the way, we stopped talking to each other about it, and we lost that spirit inside of us that allows us to come together and really, really support each other. Because I don't want to support you in making your dinner at home. You can do that without me. I want to support you in the thing that is going to require my support, because you can't get there without me, or without the connections or without the resources that I have. But I don't know unless you tell me, unless you share it. This is why vision is such an important thing to talk about. And it's the first of the categories we talk about in the True Voice process. If you haven't figured out how to articulate and share your vision professionally, or your vision in every role that you play, whether that's a vision for yourself as a father, or as a husband, as a wife, a daughter, whatever role that you play, cousin, uncle, aunt, in your life, in your family, in your community, right? If you haven't figured out visions for those particular roles and that particular professions, you should get down to the business of doing that. And if you go through the True Voice questionnaire, the first questions about voice are going to help you figure out what those things might be. It's critically important that you do so, because when people ask you what do you do, and you say something like what your title is instead of what you actually do, you're not inspiring them to help join the mission or the vision that you have in front of you. People ask me what I do. I can say I'm a business coach. Okay, great. And that means what? Absolutely nothing. I hate even, I won't even say it, but I'm doing it as an example for you guys because I know that's what you do too. Stop it. When people ask you what you do, they have given you license to express to them in a short period of time what it is you do, why you do it, who you do it for, and what it means to you and to the universe. If you can find the words, if you can articulate it in a way that's going to be useful, you got to do it. Because it's actually empowering them to jump on board, to help you do what you do. I say this all the time in my trainings, and I'll never forget it. All of us want to be meaningful in life. We want to do things that are relevant, that are significant, that are special. We all want to be somebody. The thing, though, is we don't know that we're somebody until somebody else tells us that we're somebody. I know that, yes, we need to relate to each other ourselves, right? We need to be able to tell ourselves we're good. That's true. But it feels good when others see the gift in you, the talent in you, and go, well done, good job. And I certainly want God to say, well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. Now I'm going to give you more. Welcome to the kingdom, right? That's what we want. Whether we say it or not, whether we understand it or not, it is true. We want acceptance, adoration, love, respect. But guess what? We have to articulate for others so they can see this is where we deserve it. This is where we deserve. I did another program called the RAP approach. RAP is another acronym called that stands for respect, affection, and praise. Because I totally believe that none of us get enough of that. And the more we can get it, the better off we are with developing respect, affection, and praise for others. This bears out in all the scientific proof. Anybody who has any HR experience or understanding, who do we work for? People that show us respect. We'll stay on the job. We're underpaid and overworked because we feel valued. We feel connected to our other fellow workers. And so this is all tremendously important stuff. And so I'm going to move now to any questions anybody has or any thoughts anybody has and want to share in that we need to key in on and deal with. And I'm going to remind Marvette to take herself off mute before she speaks.
I took myself off mute. I think as you were talking, I thought about various things that I had to come to realize, and creating my own division for my life and understanding what that is so that it would help me to put boundaries in place to ensure that I wouldn't get involved with things that were not in line with that. And so in doing that, for instance, the name of my real estate business is Home of Your Dreams. And I chose that because when I have an acronym for dreams, and it's discovering, revelation, expectation, and motivation. That to me is what a dream is. It helps individuals to understand what they're fighting for, what they're going after, what gives them that hope and desire to move forward and do something that maybe they're the first one in their families to do. But in the middle of all of that, this topic about integrity and being true to who you are, it all aligns. I think it's really important that people really begin to think about, why am I here? You may not be here to be the next president of the United States, but when you look at that seed that's planted, that seed needs to be planted by one person. It can be watered by something else, and then over time, increase will take place, right? There's a scripture that talks about that. But I say that to say, regardless of where you are in that process, whether you plant the seed or you water that seed, you're a part of that process in someone's life. So understanding whether it's a season or it's long term or it's something that's going to make a significant difference in some manner, you are important. But understanding and knowing who you are, that is the most important thing, because unless you are yourself, you won't build the relationships. Integrity, trust, all of that is about relationship. People will work with you and want to work with you if they understand how much you care about them, and it's not just about you. So if you think about that, and as you put together your life plan, your vision, your purpose, that will help you stay focused on what's important for you and the impact that you will make and leave here as far as your legacy is concerned.
Oh, go on and teach, Pastor. Go on and teach.
You know what?
Ooh, I feel the spirit moving. I feel it moving.
You're so silly.
So, my good friend from Peaceful Relaxation says this, and I'm going to put this thought up here, and I want to beat this up a little bit, in a nice way. But they say an introvert with an extrovert mindset is an extrovert. What do we think about that? Is an introvert with an extrovert mindset an extrovert? And how does that relate to integrity? Because when I hear that, I feel a disconnect. I feel like integrity isn't something that's complicated, and it shouldn't be something that's complicated. It's real simple. Is you are this or that. Now, there's my good friend, I can't remember his name. Oh my God, who wrote a book called The Introverted Advantage, and he explained it in that book that there was a third personality type called an ambivert. This is a person who is like in between an extrovert or an introvert. I'm very much an introvert. I've learned to become more extroverted in how I express myself.
Correct.
But that does not make me an extrovert.
Right.
I've learned that I can't keep my ideas and thoughts to myself and hope to bless the world with them. So I have to figure out ways to share them. And unfortunately, the extroverts already know how to do that. They're not sharing anything that's necessarily anything genius as far as I'm concerned, but that's just me because I'm an introvert. I think my ideas are the best ones.
Don't we all?
But I think this thought is confusing, and I think it's unnecessarily confusing. I think that an extrovert is an extrovert, introvert is an introvert, an ambivert is an ambivert. And although we might all have tendencies towards different things, that doesn't mean we skip categories.
Can I add to that?
Go for it.
I am an introvert, but I always looked at being an introvert and an extrovert from the aspect of where do you get your power from? Where do you get your energy from?
Energy, right.
And I will tell you, I love people, but people drain me.
Yep.
When I give and give and give, it is very draining. People don't give me energy. Whereas I have a daughter, she is a true extrovert because her energy comes when she's in a crowd of people, right? That is very draining, right? For me, in order to energize myself, I'm by myself. I'm reflecting, I'm meditating, I'm doing those things that energize me so that when it comes time and I have to prepare, and literally I have a whole process even before getting on here. There's a process that I take in order to get in front of people because that's not my thing. I do not like doing that. However, as Marvin said, if there's something that I need to share, then I have to learn how to be more extroverted in order to get it out. And it takes more energy to do that. So I disagree with the quote in the sense that the mindset is more about the purpose of what it is that you're trying to do. is not necessarily about the energy that you're giving out, but what is the purpose of what you're trying to do? And most introverts that tap into that extrovert aspect of their personality, because it is, everybody has some aspect of both. It just depends on the amount that you have of each. When I was younger, I was extremely shy. I would not say a word to anyone. As I got older, that did not get me anywhere. I missed out on opportunities and things like that because I didn't open up my mouth and say, I want to do it. You know, now if I want to do something, I'm going to be real strategic about it because I'm going to think about it first. I'm going to have a plan of action. And that's what most introverts do. They watch, they pay attention, they're very reflective, and they notice various things that sometimes an extrovert would not necessarily pay attention to. So the mindset piece of that is really about what type of impact you really want to make and the best part to use to do that.
I think you said something that I got a key in on this one. It's about paying attention. When you have my attention, you have all of it, right? You don't have some of it. You have all of it. That takes a lot of energy, you know, that I'm willing to give. It's you, for those who get it, you should be considering it a gift, you know, because I am not, you know, just kind of making noise. You know, I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know why you're thinking what you're thinking, how you're thinking what you're thinking, how you arrived at the thoughts that you arrived at. When did you arrive at the thought the first time? You know, and how have you grown since then? I want to know. I'm interested. Right? I'm not interested in what I have to say. I'm interested in who you are. So if you have my attention, that's why you have my attention, because I'm interested in who you are. And it could be very intense because people are not necessarily used to answering the questions. Right. It's like, whoa, time out. You know, there's a lot of questions coming at me. There's a lot of interest coming at me. I'm not sure I want that. And I tell people all the time, it's like, don't get in this thing with me if you're not serious. Right. Because I'm going to take it seriously. I'm going to put a lot of effort and energy into paying, this is currency for me, attention to you. And if you're not ready to deal with that, because you just want to talk about nothing, in my point of view, you're wasting my time. Right. And that's going to be more draining, you know, than anything else. And so I tell people all the time, like, I can't pay attention to a group. Right. It's too much. And it'll drive me to drink. As an introvert, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to need I didn't get energy. This drained my energy. Right. This took from me. And so the way to make that happen is I got to control where that energy is going. And that's why I ask the questions. That's why I teach TrueVOICE, because I realize a lot of introverts are out there, just like me, who kind of would like to analyze the situation, would like to sit down and really think about it and blah, blah, blah. But they don't even have a chance to because nobody will give them the right information. Everybody's talking a bunch of nonsense. It's like, so I can't trust you like that. You got to give me some stuff that'll help me trust you. And that's why we created TrueVOICE, is to help people develop trust fast. I don't believe in the old principle, you know, well, it takes a long time to build trust. No, it doesn't if you do it the right way. Right. If you do it the right way, and your intention is to build a trust, and everybody's intention is that, then you can come at it, and it can happen instantly. It can happen instantly. It's just a matter of, you know, and as you get better at it, you get better at it. When I say I've done thousands of these interviews, I've done thousands of them, you know, because I wanted to get really good at this before I shared it with the rest of the public. And now I'm sharing it with you. Anybody who's listening to this can download it and take it as my intellectual property. You can have it, tweak it, turn it, do whatever you want to do with it. You know, I want it to be out there in the universe because I know that it's something that I took the time to create, and I created it well. It's good. Go for it. And that's what's important. we're going to break down over the next few weeks. We're going to break down each of the 5 categories. Every week, we're going to go into an aspect of True Voice and how you use it, how you work with it, and how you use it to develop a deeper understanding of who you are, who other people are, what you bring to the table, what they bring to the table, and how you work collaboratively to make a better situation for both of you. So I'm another big believer in, and I can't do everything. I can't do very much by myself. I need the talents and the gifts of others that I believe the Creator has placed in front of me, which is why I should be listening to them in the first place, because they're in front of me, and I now, okay, they're taking up some space. Let me see if we can find something meaningful to do together. So let's ask the deeper, more meaningful questions. Let's have the conversations that allow us to reveal ourselves to one another so that we can grow or find a way to grow. Maybe we can't help each other. Maybe we know somebody else who can help each other. But if we don't talk about it, what we're trying to do, impossible to figure that out. Makes it, or not impossible, just difficult. Let's just make it easier for somebody who's already got to do something. They got stuff to do. Make it easier. Come with the real self, your true self. And Marvette said something earlier too. I want to key in on about relationships. If you don't bring your whole self to a relationship, I don't care if it's a professional relationship, personal relationship. If you don't bring your whole self to the relationship, you're cheating on the other person, because they don't have the gift of knowing what you're really all about. They don't have the gift of knowing, and they can't make decisions based on the facsimile that you put in front of them. My wife says this all the time. There's your first date, there's your second date, there's your third date, and then there's your real date. At some point, you're gonna have to be real. The real you is gonna have to show up. It might be 20 years later, but the real you is gonna show up, because you can't sustain a lie. You can't sustain a falsehood forever. You just can't. But if you find that truth and you look for it hard enough and you're willing to do the work, you find that truth, then you can represent that truth all day, every day. You can be yourself 100% all the time, and people will respect you. Just like that quote said, will respect you for who you are, not for how much you're better than somebody else or, anything like that. It'll just be you. You could be in the sunlight all by yourself, shining, doing what you do. So that's the kind of the wisdom we're going to be talking about over the next couple of weeks. I hope you guys enjoyed the program. If there's any questions out there, I don't see any questions. I'm gonna wrap this up, and we're gonna call it a day. Do we have any other, Marvette? Do you have any final words or any place people you might want people to get in contact with you? And if they're in you're licensed in Virginia, Maryland, and DC, or just in Virginia?
Virginia, Maryland, Georgia, and DC.
Woo! Go ahead, girl.
I got a plan. I have a plan.
So, she's gonna share this plan. But is there anything that you want to offer the public while we got you on? And is there anything you want to share with them that they can take you up on, or anything?
Sure. If anyone's interested in preparing to purchase a home, or wanting to know about programs that are available, free money that's available, you can go to my website, which is www.homeofyourdreamswithaz.com, and shoot me an email. And we can have a quick conversation. I'm all about free information, because free information is what helps you get to that next level. So if you need assistance in getting your credit cleaned up, putting together a budget to figure out what you can afford, understanding the market, anything like that, I'll be happy to have a one-on-one with you and help get you started in the right direction. So reach out to me.
Go ahead and put your information in the chat, and I will post it so that everybody can see it, and they'll have it. Even if they watch this show later on Facebook or YouTube, they'll have it. And let me know if somebody takes you up on anything, because you all don't be crazy, because I don't put these wonderful people in front of you to let them sit there. They got work to do. So come on, let's put them to work. Take advantage of the talent. Wherever you can find it, you have to do that, because that's just good for the universe. Okay. I'm going to, what am I going to do? I think I posted this already. So that's in the chat. True Voice is in the chat already. Let me see if I can't get to, yeah, this is what Marvette just posted. All right, so I'll be able to get that, and then I'll share it with everyone.
Yeah. I'm doing a revamp on a couple of things, so I'll have it all together soon. I'm really excited.
So now you guys can find Marvette right here on Home of Your Dreams. If you're checking us out on Facebook, you can do it. If you're checking us out on YouTube, you can check it out there as well. And it's amazing, good stuff. So thankful, Marvette, that you took the time to come by today. I had some other guests lined up, but it seems like they dropped the ball, but you did not.
If I tell you I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. I'm a woman of my word.
Oh, she's a good Delta. Oh, she don't play.
Oh no.
I tell you,
my word is my bond.
You should never told me you was a Delta, because I know you can work now.
Yeah, but you gotta work. But at the end of the day, the only thing I have is my word. So if I tell you I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. And if something comes up, I'm gonna explain to you what's going on. But I'm not just gonna drop the ball. I'll work it out.
I did a piece during your anniversary last year about fortitude.
Yes.
Oh, I had so much fun with that. I'm like, I need to share this with every Delta that I know.
Yes.
And there's a lot of them because
Yeah.
Fortunately for me, I trapped one into marrying me, which is pretty good.
That makes you a very fortunate man, that's for sure. Because we're very picky, that's for sure.
That's for sure. I think I had to go through what they call it. You know what? Let's close this down. We can talk in the studio. I'm going to broadcast.